What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Slam MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We are looking at the Monday 8-game main slate. James, you'll be the man on the playbook here for this one, and we have some weather concerns. It feels like it's for the first time in a little bit that we've had a baseball slate where there is rain in the forecast. Minnesota in New York to face the Mets. Seattle in Boston to face the Red Sox. Chicago Cubs in Cincinnati to face the Reds, and Kansas City Royals in Chicago to face the White Sox. The two games in the Midwest looking a little iffy. May not get those two in. The two games up in the Northeast looking a little better, but of course, at the time of recording here on Sunday night, the weather can certainly change. So we'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern time to give you guys all the latest updates on the weather concerns. So this could be an 8-game slate. Could be a 6-game slate, could be a 4-game slate, or anything in between. We want to make sure you guys are ready for that. Assuming games are played, though, it's a pretty interesting slate, given who's the matchups are, and the fact that we are very live in Hug Watch. We are
in the middle of it.
Very live in Hug Watch. The MLB trade deadline is on Tuesday. Already a bunch of significant trades over the weekend. Jazz Chisholm goes from Miami to New York. Isaac Paredes finds himself going from Tampa Bay to Chicago, with Christopher Morel going back in that deal to Tampa Bay. Numerous trades happening with the Blue Jays and the Mariners and teams across the league here. The Padres shipping off a boatload of prospects for a reliever to Tampa Bay there. Homer Bush Jr. going back to Tampa Bay for was it Jason Adams, I think the reliever was, setup man for them. So, teams are wheeling and dealing. There's plenty of rumors ahead. I know the Twitter community, the X community was flipping out when Brenton Doyle got pulled in the third inning of today's game. And they're like, there's no way the Rockies are trading Doyle here. And I was having a conversation with my buddy. I'm like, Doyle hits like 210 away from Coors. If you can get anything for him, you might want to at least see what the package would be. But anyways, all that aside, on this slate, there are some players that certainly could be on the move. Nathan Eovaldi is a pitcher whose name has been mentioned a few times as a possible trade candidate. Would he get pulled in the middle of a start? That would certainly be possible. So I guess these are things we're going to have to take into consideration when we go over this slate. The one guy that is safe, however, is our top price starter, James. Paul Skeens, $10,500. 2 weeks ago, I asked you, would you bet Paul Skeens to win the NL Cy Young? He was like plus 4,000. He's now plus 500 to win the NL Cy Young. So the betting odds quickly moving in the favor of Mr. Skeens here. Are you paying the 10-5 for the best pitcher in baseball?
Those odds suggest Paul Skeens probably won't get shut down before the end of the season. And if you traded him in a season fantasy league, you probably won't be happy by the end of the year.
What if you got Ellie De La Cruz back in that deal? Huh?
Oh, I was just saying, it was more of a hypothetical.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can pitch Paul Skeens against anyone.
Anybody, right? Like he's the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, he's been as good as anybody, missing bats from a fantasy, like real life and fantasy perspective, right? Because he strikes everyone out. He doesn't allow hard contact. He pitches really deep into games.
Anybody.
pitches into, I mean, look at these starts. 4 of the last 5 starts, he's gone 7+ innings. Like that is, and 100+ pitches.
I couldn't believe they sent him back out there against St. Louis.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I mean, the most unfortunate thing for Paul Skeens is that he has had one run of run production in 4 of the last 5 starts.
The one. Yeah.
Dude,
they scored. They didn't need 14 on this one.
They could have spread the wealth. Let's just say that. That's literally the only downside. Like Houston is a good offense. There are power bats. Paul Skeens is also a power arm that does allow home runs. Like that's a lot of power arms do, right? Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole, like the world's
Remember Justin
best
Verlander
pitchers.
gave up like 24 solo home runs a few years ago?
Justin Verlander, like these guys are like the best pitchers of the decade, and they've all given up. Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs. Like everyone gives up home runs. So if that's what beats you, a solo shot like against Jordan, you go like this.
Yeah.
Good job, Jordan. Like, yeah, that happens. Like power on power. But if you want to get the Skeens at 10-5, I mean, guy's been as good and if not better. Let me ask you a quick question. Trade deadline comes and they get a call or they send out a call. How many players would Paul Skeens be traded for in the MLB stream?
Dude.
Otani?
No.
Have to.
No. What do you mean?
Have to.
Yeah.
How many players
Right.
straight
I'm
up?
saying, are you talking realistically though? I mean, like,
Yeah, realistically.
I mean, they're not offering Otani. If the Pirates were to trade Paul Skeens in real life,
how many players are worth Paul Skeens?
It would be to the Orioles because they're the only one with enough top 10, top 15 prospects in baseball.
I'm talking 1-for-1 swaps. 1-for-1 swap.
Oh,
how many teams?
I don't know. That's too hard to know. That's too hard to know. Let's move on. Logan Gilbert, love you, mean it. Not going to have you face the Red Sox in Fenway. Righties, the Red Sox are just still hammering right-handed pitching. Not gonna pay the 96 for that matchup. I do really like Nathan Eovaldi here. How concerned are we actually on him getting pulled in this game?
I mean, Texas has lost 3 in a row. They are 4 games under 500. They are currently 6 games out of the wild card. No timetable on Josh Jung's return. Wyatt Langford's cooled off.
No.
Adolis Garcia is nowhere near the guy that he's been the last couple years.
He is heating up though, as someone who may have him on a seasonal fantasy team.
Okay, but like he's done this a couple times where like he's been better and then it just like
falls off,
sputters again. Obviously, not a great Corey Seager year. That's another injury-plagued Corey Seager year. So it's live. Like he is live to get pulled now. When the trade happens, obviously matters. I think that you're right. This is a good spot. Now, St. Louis has been pretty good against right-handed pitching overall, and they've been really good in the month of July. They're top 10 in OPS, 772 team OPS, 275 average against right-handed pitching. Those are really good numbers as a team. Doesn't hurt that they got Wilson Contreras back.
Yep.
Lars Nootbaar came back during this month, so
Burleson
and Donovan have been great against righties. So I like the spot. The strikeouts for Eovaldi have been pretty good lately, other than the Baltimore start. So
yeah,
there's a high ceiling.
10 strikeouts, obviously, I don't think is realistic for him at this point anymore. But 7 versus Houston, 6 versus San Diego, like those are 2 teams that do not strike out. Right. And I mean, he threw a 1-hitter against the Padres. I give 8 hits against Houston, but only allowed the 1 run. So I do like the 9,300. I'm not as concerned against the matchup per se.
I will say, just on the Gilbert front, John, just only thing I'd say, and we've said this before, like where just this team's really good, wouldn't play a pitcher. There are exceptions for like really good pitchers. Look, Gilbert's been like undeniably really good this year, and also. For what it's worth, Boston, yes, number 1 in basically every offensive category against righties in July. Also striking out 24% of the time. So if you get one of those like Logan Gilbert missing bat games, then like Logan Gilbert can give you like 7 scoreless, and you'd be like, oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah, no, I mean they're definitely in the realm of possibilities there. If they were in Seattle, I think I'd be a bit more willing to.
Oh. Yeah,
give that a look because we've obviously talked. Now he's been obviously better. The other pitchers in Seattle have been much worse on the road this year than at home. For me, I think it's more so because I have interest in the other starter in this game. Just from you want to talk ceilings and floors here, Mr. Nick Pivetta.
Dude, this is the most like this. That start was the most Nick, like these last stretch of starts is the most Nick Pivetta stuff you've ever seen.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I get it. Seattle added Randy Arozarena, but like that lineup is still like, they got guys, but they're still 30% strikeout rate for the month against righties.
They've been popping. Just saying.
Still 30% strikeout rate against righties for the month.
Look, the strikeouts, undeniable. But where Seattle is different when you take them away from Seattle. We talked about this last week.
We have talked about this.
I'm not talking about it was the Drew Thorpe start, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Nick Pivetta, Drew Thorpe.
Not the
way
same
different.
Guy.
Way different. I'm not saying that they're the same. But I'm just using that as an example. The last time we talked about it. On the road in the month of July, okay?
Yeah.
Against righties, specific, obviously. Still a 27% strikeout rate for Seattle. Also, John, 228 ISO.
Mm-hmm.
Also, 848 team OPS. Like, they are
368 WOBA, second best.
Dude, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde when you get them out of Seattle. And obviously, it's been weirdly good. Victor Robles has been great. Cal Raleigh, why would you drop him in any format?
Nobody knows why you would draft Cal Raleigh if you're in the league.
He has been amazing. There has been just this surge. Vossler's been good. And Rojas has been good. They are just good, not in Seattle.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me about Pivetta. I agree. He's going to be chalky. He's going to be popular. Everyone's going to play him because he might do the Oakland thing where he gives up 4 earned and strikes out 10. And you're like, yeah, that's good. 22 fantasy points.
I said 22 in a loss against Oakland at 85 is a win.
Yeah. I'm also just going to say you can very much make the argument, why would I not play the Seattle Mariners on the road in Fenway if Nick Pivetta is chalky? Because we know
because he could give him 8.
Dude, because Nick Pivetta is just what he is. He is an incredibly volatile pitcher with a ceiling and a floor that may be unmatched.
In his last 4 starts, he has -2 and 34 fantasy points.
I mean, dude, that is not normal for a guy that you pay $8,000+ for on a consistent basis. It's so. I'm just saying, I like Pivetta because the ceiling.
I mean, if you want to go the sandwich, last 5 starts he has 2.2 and -2. And in between 34, 22, and 27, he has no wins. He didn't even win the 34 fantasy point game.
It's just one of those things that you obviously are looking at it from a strikeout. Just you're basing your Pivetta play on
I'm looking at it
strikeouts.
from Nick Pivetta. We're just ceilings and floors again, man. This dude outside of Skeens.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the rest of this slate. Gilbert, obviously the top, but Pivetta is right up there with the highest ceiling of anybody.
Agreed.
So
no, I'm that is undisputable. I'm also just saying, you look at the slate, like you mentioned, there's not a lot to like. And at $8,500, we're going to see a chalky Nick Pivetta.
Yeah.
You're going to see. So,
especially if the weather plays out the way we think it is, and we cut this down to a 6-game slate or something like that, where you're not likely to play the pitchers in those rain games, in Chicago and in Cincinnati. So something to at least consider, obviously, as we work our way down. If we are in this mid-tier, where do you kind of go next? Because like I said, there is Marsh, but there's rain there. There's Spires, but there's rain there. Quintana, we assume is going to be okay. But he's got Minnesota. Palante, I don't think we're going to go there. You're interested.
Yes. Okay. And that's more on the Texas side. I will say Palante has, for what it's worth, been better. In 3 of the last 4 starts, 1 earned run or less. In 3 straight, he's gone at least 6 innings and thrown 90 pitches plus. I have a hard time not liking that. We were talking about it earlier in the year when we were talking about his splits too. This is a reverse splits pitcher. And when you think about Texas, all their big bats are from the left side. Seager, Smith, Nathaniel Lowe. Marcus Semion's been great, and that's just something that you have to consider.
Adolis is, like I said, he had a little bit.
I mean, 298 average for righties, 202 average for lefties, 368 WOBA for righties, 243 WOBA for lefties. There is clearly a way to attack Palante, but Texas they're going to play Leote, right? They're going to play Jonah Heim, who's going to hit from the left side. That's 6 lefties potentially. And he does not get hit by lefties. 5 home runs this year 4 have come against righties, 1 against lefties. So 7,800. You look at Texas against right-handed pitching in the month of July. 21.5% strikeout rate's fine, but they're 18th in OPS. They're 19th in ISO. They're not really hitting, and that's led to the slide that they're on and why they're selling, right? So
Yeah.
I don't mind Payante. I don't necessarily really like anything else. Like the Quintana thing. Quintana thing is interesting. We'll see what happens with Minnesota. Miranda left in the first inning after getting hit on the hand by a pitch.
Yeah.
He was in the head. He was not diagnosed with a concussion, but I have to assume he's not going to play.
Yeah.
Obviously,
likely.
yeah. I mean, obviously Correa, Royce has only been back for a couple games, although he homered. So Quintana's been really, really good for a pitcher at $7,400. Outside of that Colorado start, which he had 8 strikeouts, like there's been a really good stretch for Jose Quintana where 7,400 just feels too cheap because we're getting a ceiling out of this guy with like strikeouts. So 7,400, I wouldn't hate that in a tournament. Just taking a shot on like the quality of pitcher right now, because what else is where else is the quality of pitcher rear its head here? Oh, well, yeah, right. I like this one. Yeah,
I was gonna say he's under 7K, coming off 8 and 7 strikeouts in his last 2. 7 strikeouts against the Nationals, which is hard to do usually.
Yep.
9. We're talking about the Atlanta Braves, who have not been a very good offense, particularly of late here. So, home matchup, $6,900. This was the value play I was looking to target.
Yeah, I like Colin right here. We have ad nauseum attacked the Braves with right-handed pitching. Ad nauseum. And it just hasn't gotten any better. I guess it's gotten a little better. Isolated power is specifically where it's gotten better.
I was say, they obviously hit a lot of home runs. Matt Olson's homered in back-to-back games for them.
Duvall had a double dong. Ozuna homers every other day. But they're still 25th and it's still all bottom 5 metrics for the rest of the month and against right-handed pitching. So I'm with you on the Colin Ray front. I have one question for you.
Sure.
I'm looking at Washington, and they have been really bad against left-handed pitching in July. Any thought there, or would you still trust more bats? Montgomery looked pretty good in his debut. No strikeouts, or in his return from the IL rather. No strikeouts, but he was pitching pretty well going into that IL stint outside of the Minnesota start. Yeah. And then looked pretty good in the limited sample against Kansas City.
So,
Washington has been bad.
So the last 30 days.
Oh my God.
Last 30 days, though.
I see it. The strikeout rate is
16% strikeout rate.
It's even lower in July, by the way. If you just look at July, it's even lower.
Yeah, if you do the last 2 weeks, last 14 days, 15.6% strikeout rate.
It's crazy.
They're 331 Wobus, just 13th, a 189 ISO against left-handed pitching is 8th. 267 average against left-handed pitching in the last 2 weeks is 13th. So middle of the road, still not striking out, which again makes the Colin Ray thing more just hey, congrats, dude. You 8, 7 strikeouts. Washington just tore apart Sonny Gray the other day.
But he's good. But they're doing since the Wood edition, I feel like there's been better depth. Even when you look at them righties, lefties this month, they're 13th in OPS against righties this month.
Yeah.
They're 23rd against lefties. Yeah. And it's a 300 plate appearance sample. That's not it's obviously not as much as it's going to be righties, but that's the second most at bats against lefties of any team this month. Yeah,
middle of the pack. The last 2 weeks, 96 plate appearances against lefties. They've just been better. Now, again, it's all small sample size. Sure. What lefties were they facing? Right. But Jordan Montgomery has not been good.
No, he is not.
This is why we don't look at wins and losses anymore. The man's 7-5, but a 5-5 and a 1-6. So, no, thank you, sir. I will let someone else beat me with Jordan Montgomery. And I'm not pitching anybody else. Would you pitch Holmes here?
If I knew if they said he was stretched out to 70 pitches at 4K, I would. Okay. If they were like 70 pitches, I would. 4K?
Sure.
I mean, it's definitely a consideration. At least this 4K pitcher has pitched in the bigs,
Agreed.
So there is like at least some sample of like,
if he gives you this, even if he doesn't get stretched out, if he gives you 12.8 fantasy points at 4K, you're winning, right? So
because then you're able to get Arizona and you're able to get
14 fantasy points against Pittsburgh in 3 innings and 33 pitches.
Dude, I'm just saying. I think that if he got stretched out to 52 in his last start, he's literally the min salary for a pitcher. It's got to be at least
in Milwaukee though is where like I'm a little but that lineup isn't really what Yelich, like
dude. Do you want the numbers against righties this month?
Well, they have a whole bunch of lefties in their lineup, so I'm not too surprised.
No, against righties.
Sure.
They are 27th in OPS. They have a 126 ISO. They have a 25% strikeout rate. They have not been good. Grant Holmes, if he's gonna get to 70 pitches of 4K, dude.
Seems like you're buying into the love there.
I mean, I don't love the slate after the first 4 names. Sure. So like just taking shots somewhere,
Okay. Catcher, we generally look for some value here. So you can find your spot if you're not in on Pivetta. Obviously, Kyle Raleigh with a whole lot of power at $4,500 there. Jeffers gets Quintana at 41. Some power in the bat for him there.
Gabe Moreno is going to hit second. He's been pretty good. He stole a base against the lefty the other day too. He'll hit second.
I'd be willing to throw Kybert out there against Montgomery at 33.
Yep, hit a homer the other day over the weekend.
Yeah. And I guess if Vasquez is in over Jeffers, I would do that at 29.
Agreed.
That's probably it. Unless lineups come out. First base, what are you looking at?
I am looking at Christian Walker, 5,300. Mitchell Parker's been really bad. 11 earned runs over his last 2 starts. So if you want to get to Christian Walker, I think that's viable. Is Matt Olson alive and breathing? Home runs in back-to-back days, as you mentioned. Hits in 5 straight games. I mean, it always has felt like there was going to be positive regression because, like, how did it just fall off so fast?
Honestly, that man is not the same player he was last year. But he hit over 50 homers last year, and the guy's not even close to hitting 30 this year.
So 51 for Olson, if you're a believer. I mean, Colin Ray's been very bad against lefties, and that's been like historical data year in, year out. Where like
Matt Olson, 1 career homer and 2 at bats against Colin Ray.
BVP. Oh, big balls play of the day out on X tomorrow. Look for it. Yeah, it's the can't miss lock of the week. Bet your life savings on it. I would. Randomly, Salvi gets his first base eligibility back. I would, if that game goes, just play everyone and anybody against Chris Flexen. So
sure.
Salvi at 49, Paz Quintino 47. Lefties have hurt Flexen more. He's actually gotten lucky against righties. So like the whole total roof is going to fall in on both splits. So I like both those guys. I would probably get to like Santana, Raley. Probably not so much Raley. He's been really bad, but he's been really, really bad. Damn, missed opportunity. But Santana at 42 is pretty good.
Yeah. Would you go with Juan Yepez against the lefty and Jordan Montgomery?
I feel like I would be doing this show and our subscriber base and listeners a disservice if I didn't go Juan Yepez, because this man is on one. He is on one right now.
I got it. Yeah.
He is on Juan now.
I heard you.
He is crazy. So, yeah.
412 batting average, by the way, against left-handed pitching.
He crushes lefties.
It's a small sample size, obviously, just 19 plate appearances, but he is 7 for 19 in those plate appearances with 3 doubles on the year. Again, 176 ISO this year, 160 last year in small plate appearances. So yeah, one of the reasons why over the last couple of weeks the Natties are doing some damage against lefties. Juan Yepez back in the bigs. Gonna hit in the middle of their lineup. I mean, he's $3,400. So
Yep.
I'm in. Anybody else for you here?
Yeah, Vossler's in the lineup. He has crazy AAA splits against righties this year. And again, like that's if you're fading Pivetta and just playing Seattle, Vossler's a cheap target for you.
Okay. Second base, Ketel Marte has not stopped hitting since the last
Oh,
game we talked about it.
no, yes.
Gets the lefty in Smush Parker here. So
Smush Parker, shout out.
We get we get Marte here. He'll probably be one of our top spend ups. So just insane. You know, the only thing stopping him is not being in the lineup really. So
I don't know why you said. I don't know why you even said probably will be the top, like one of the top. He is for sure one of the top spends of the day.
Agreed. Willie Castro with some elite numbers against lefties as well. He is 4,700 though. Maybe that feels a little bit too much for you. Luis Garcia is lefty, but this guy has been really doing some damage at the plate of late as well. You've talked about being in against everybody against Flexen, so imagine you go back to Massey here at 4K.
Yeah, they led him off on Sunday. I don't know if you saw that. I mean, they are looking for any way to not lead Bobby Witt off, and Michael Massey was your chosen candidate for Sunday. He wasn't great, but he did lead off. So I do like the lefties here. I will just circle back to Semien if you wanted to get that righty exposure against Payante. It has been the clear split for Payante to target bats with. So Semien would be the only guy that I would mention in that tier. And I'm not in on Jonathan India because I don't know if he's going to be on this slate by the time this comes around. I think he's all but assuredly traded by the time.
Jeff McNeil, 3,500 against Simeon Wood Richardson.
Yeah, that feels too cheap for how good he's been. And he keeps moving up the lineup too. So all the way in.
Yeah, it's because they don't have they don't really have a lineup fully around. There are a couple of guys that they got there. They added Winker though, so we'll see where Winker starts to slot into that Mets lineup. He'll probably be in there, right?
Yeah, he played on Sunday.
Yeah.
He hits. He only pinch hit, so I take it back.
But what a righty on the mound here, they might have him in that lineup. So we'll see. Anybody else for you?
Yeah, I mean Jorge Polanco left on Sunday with knee pain, but Jorge Polanco, John. I mean, like another guy that just kind of fell off. Like really good hitter for a lot of years. If he's in the lineup, he's hitting fourth. So again, another piece of the Seattle stack if you're fading Pivetta.
Third base, we had Devers, Royce Lewis, who, hey, what do you know, came back, homered. Right? You know, it's a big shock, big surprise to anybody here. Gets the matchup there for him. The rest of the tiers, like, you know, if you any favorites for you?
No, I would say Royce. I kind of
feel the same way.
I would say Royce. And that's like then you're dropping to like Morel's not even on the slate, so don't play him.
Right.
Patrick Wisdom homered. He's in one of those like random home run streaks. But like
you'll never be able to pin that down.
Never.
Plus, game that might not even play.
Eugenio. Yeah. I played him Saturday. He went 0 for 4 with a run. I did not play him Sunday, and they looked
homered.
So you can go back to Eugenio. He has been homering a ton, but I don't think we need to really. You can I guess try Trey Lipscomb if he's in the lineup for Washington,
sure,
but that's not all
that. Okay, third shortstop. Bobby Witt up top at 64, Ellie at 62, Lindor, Abrams, Seager, your top group there. O'Neal Cruz has been unreal lately, 51. Where are you looking to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's no wrong answer, I would say, honestly. Obviously, Witt has a great spot, still just dominating baseballs. Ellie De La Cruz, only player in baseball that can have 3 singles and end with 29 fantasy points. That's the only guy in baseball that can do that. 3 singles, 29 fantasy points. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. So if you want to get to him, if the weather's good, Francisco Lindor just continues to homer. And on games where he's not homering, he's stealing bases. So 5,700 doesn't feel too steep for a guy now with 22 home runs, 21 stolen bases, 70 runs, 60. Like, he might go 30, 30, 100, 100 this year.
Yeah.
And half the year was spent hitting out of the leadoff hole. So Lindor at 57 feels really good. I'm not really in, I guess, on Abram Seager, but I am definitely in on the O'Neal Cruz stuff.
Hit a ball further than humans can hit baseballs. So
that was really far. And dude, Jake Bloss, and I'll say this every single time Jake Bloss takes the mound, that guy is not a major league pitcher. He was not a major league pitcher in his debut against Baltimore, where he got shelled and then got hurt and like basically got lucky. 6 hits, left with a bunch of runners on. Then had to face Miami in his second start. Like, wow. Before this recent stretch for Miami, of course, because Miami's the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
And then he gave up 4 home runs to Oakland. He's going to give up a lot of home runs. And I know, like, Pittsburgh isn't actually a team that hits a lot of home runs. But if you were to tell me you wanted to play, like, O'Neal Cruz and, like, if Rowdy Tellez is in the lineup, I know he was injured. And if Brian Reynolds, if he returns from bereavement, I mean, the Pirates do have appeal. O'Neal Cruz, though, if you want to just one-off, is a really elite play. Probably as good as the other guys and, like, significantly.
Yeah. The way he's playing right now, he is. I mean, he's got almost the last 30 days, I think it is, hitting almost 300 with a 300 ISO. I mean, he's just on a tear right now. Even with the strikeout rate. Strikeout rate's still 32% over that stretch. But the power and the batting average is kind of still present because he's hitting so damn hard. Anytime he makes contact, he's basically finding a way to get on. So, yeah, fully in, $5,100. We talked Billy Castro already. You have Adonis home versus righty if you're into that sort of thing at $4,300. Brooks Lee against Quintana, $3,900 if you're going more Minnesota there. What do you do now? Like Perdomo, maybe 29. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, Geraldo's good. Fine. I shouldn't say good. He's fine. DeYoung homered. If he's still on this team, which I don't know who would trade for him, but Alec Marsh has been awful against right-handed bats.
Yeah.
So Paul DeYoung has also been really good against right-handed pitching. So $30,000 is like a one-off or a pairing with like Luis Robert.
It's kind of wild. He's going to hit like 25 home runs this year. Just like
he is going to hit. There's an outside chance he gets 30, like with a hot
August.
Yeah, hot August, September. I mean, he might hit 30 home runs and nobody even cares.
Yep. Outfield. Duran is your top price outfielder here against Gilbert at $5,900. Ozuna, Tyler O'Neill against a righty, not a lefty.
Dude, salute to Tyler O'Neill, by the way. RBI machine these days.
Right?
Since we called him out, all the RBIs for Tyler O'Neill.
2 homers, 3 RBIs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Yeah, what do you know? What do you know? If only he could catch a fly ball.
That's awesome.
If only he could catch a fly ball. So, yeah, find your spend up. Last year we rode the Lane Thomas train against lefties. He's $5K here against Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, like this year, Lane Thomas has been Lane Thomas, the base stealer, and that's like it.
Quite literally, yeah. Last year he had 28 homers. He's only got 8. He had 17 2 years ago, so kind of more on pace for that than the last year's homer production.
28 stolen bases this year. I know there was like an IL stint and whatnot, but he has 6 stolen bases over his last 10 games. I mean, I'd be good with it.
He's still hitting 330 against lefties this year.
Yeah, so. I'm definitely good with it. I'm just saying, like, 5K, we need the stolen bases at this.
Sure.
At this, like, to stay consistent.
Yeah, that's fine. That or the Nats just like hang a bunch of runs.
Yeah, that's true.
Nemo's 5K as well if you're going up against Simeon Woods Richardson there. I like Buxton at 48 against Quintana. Don't mind Arozarena given the way he has been hitting the ball of late as well. Some base upside at 48 for him. Roberts $4,800 in that team.
He needs to be traded, dude. He just doesn't care.
Lewis Robert, yeah.
He's killing people's seasonal.
We'll see if him and Crochet get moved, right?
Yo, the Crochet stuff. I hope no one trades for him. I hope they make him rot in Chicago.
With the way his agent came out and it was like, I'm only doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm only doing this, I'm only doing that. Yeah.
Who is Garrett Crochet? That's not Paul Skeens making requests. That's Garrett Crochet.
Crochet was really good. He thought he was playing his cards a little bit more than maybe he should. So yeah, there's that. Again, Adolis has been hitting the ball a little bit better of late, hitting almost 300 over the last 7 games. Mid-tier guys?
I would play Cubs in Cincy if that game's gonna play. Like Seiya, Ian Happ, both those guys have power against Spires.
Yeah, and you get them in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lourdes pinch hit home run today in extra innings.
And gets a lefty here.
And gets a lefty. A homer off a righty, gets a lefty here. And Parker at 42. Really like that. You mentioned obviously Langford's been struggling, but Palante being a reverse splits guy there. What else are you thinking here? Winker, 4K?
Yeah, Winker, Kelnick, both those guys I think are in play. Like, again, I don't really love the Braves here, but I do like the lefties just with how bad Colin Ray has been historically against them.
I don't imagine many people playing Red Sox. So, like, Weiler and Yoshida are down here pretty cheap.
Yeah, I mean, they're both going to hit second and third, too. Against a righty, they're going to hit right at the top of the lineup and, are extremely cheap. So, I like that call. The Twins still may lead off Manny Margot for one reason or another against the lefty. We will see. But he is $3,500 if you want to go there. It wouldn't be, like, the worst idea.
Chorio's been really good. He homered on Sunday. Obviously has stolen base upside here. Now, probably going to hit towards the bottom of the lineup with a righty on the mound, not a lefty. But still, it's been pretty solid. Let's see. Value.
Juan Bay?
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah, they sent Jack Swinsky back to AAA today.
2 games back today on Sunday. 1 for 3 with a walk and a stolen base. Right on cue with dude, it's a good matchup against Shake Bloss. I wish Pittsburgh was like better. I hope Brian Reynolds for that sake is like activated because it's a really, really good spot.
Sure. Let's see.
Renfroe, 34. He's been pretty good lately.
Okay.
Benson, if you want to play guys you want to just play like Reds just in general in that game environment. Victor Robles, dude. Yeah, Harold. Yep.
Harold's been really good against lefties. 3K.
Harold has been really good against lefties. Really cheap, and then Robles really, really good and cheap. Leading off, he's leading off. Got home run out of Victor Robles the other day, and we profiled the stolen bases out of him too. It's crazy.
You got Isabel and Melendez down here at 3K. Lefties.
Yeah, I forgot MJ off the IL. I forgot.
Yep. Garrett Mitchell's up, right?
Yep. He's alive in the world.
Alive in the world. $2,900. Poor Jordan Walker, never going to find his way back.
Dude, I mean, there was ever a time. I know St. Louis is actually like in the mix. They're 1 game out of playoffs, but poor guy.
I don't know what to do without Oakland on the slate. I'm just looking at Click Lawrence Butler. It's not here. I don't know what
or Brent Rooker or both.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Gurriel, Marte, Walker.
And I was gonna say Gabe.
Who?
Gabe too. Moreno, 3,400. He's so cheap. Because if we wanted to play, we wanted some value. Like we could go Yepez over Christian Walker, considering how on Juan he is.
Works. Pitching. Do we try to plug Skeens?
Yeah, we do.
And then, do you want to go Holmes? Do you want to go Rhea 69? What do you think?
I'm going to say I think that if we wanted to be a chalk monster, we play Pivetta here.
Okay.
With the understanding that Seattle could nuke him in like the third inning, but also he might strike 15 guys.
Okay. If we did Ray, we have 4K at play. Pivetta would, in schemes would give us 36. So we had some 3K outfielders we were looking at. We can plug Harold Ramirez in, I guess.
Yep.
3,800. Where was our next? What was our next value?
Vinny
Suarez, yeah, it works. Where's Suarez? 36. Shortstop.
This was a good spend up position. O'Neal Cruz, 51. If we could get him.
$2,700 outfielder.
I don't know if that exists. It would be PCA.
Alex Call recalled. Recalled. They traded Winker. They recalled the Call. Call could be in the lineup versus lefty.
He's getting the call here for us.
Getting the call. It's looking pretty good. Not looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Nope. I just saw 11 homers. I was like, oh, he's hitting 212. 220 is in line with that one.
All we're looking for is that one to leave the yard.
It's true. So we were to do the Skeens Pivetta. We probably go down catcher, I guess, a little bit from Gabe. Let's see. Where's Christian Vasquez? Who's 29, I think. It goes as a $3,200 outfielder.
It's obviously Robles, but like Grishik. He'll hit right in the middle of that order.
Yeah. There you go. Arizona Washington stack, a little one-off O'Neal Cruz and Christian Vasquez spending up for Skeens and Pivetta, but as we mentioned, we do like some value. Could go down to Rhea or all the way down to Holmes at 4K and have a whole lot more money to play with. James will be on your playbook for this slate, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, everybody, we will catch you at 5 p.m. Eastern time. See you later.